Hello all, welcome to study 6 of the solving studies to improve chess calculation. This is going to be a really hard one. This one was composed by the Argentinian chess composer Carlos Alberto Peronace. Peronace did made 70 compositions more or less, not that much compared with others, but still lots of quality and with important prizes. Know that he got a win in an Olympiad of chess composing, so that's already a feature. And this one was basically for the 100 years of the Deutsche Chess Federation, the German Chess Federation, in 1977, and he was acclaimed with the first prize win. So, not the next door guy of chess composing for sure. Uh, this is also the last study he made, which is a pity because he was a bit upset with the lack of recognition and support and so on. So he basically moved away from chess and from chess composition, which is always a pity, but okay. Each one needs to decide what to do. About our study, it's really hard, so don't expect to be easy. My suggestion for you is if you find that the 40 minutes are not enough, well, consider keep trying because I know we all want to see the solution after some time, but we also ruin the study if we see it too soon. This one is one of those that okay, take it with you for more time if you want. Sleep over the position, let it come to your mind. Because, yes, it's so hard that I am almost afraid to recommend you this. But, okay, I was not able to do it. So that's one big measure of the problems I have. So let's see. Hope you enjoy it. Good luck with the solution. I see you in a bit of a moment. All right. Hope you have enjoyed trying to solve this. I don't know if you took too much time or not. For me, it was a nightmare almost. I took a lot of time to solve it, and in the end, I was forced to give up. I was not able to find the correct solution, unfortunately. Uh, for some reason, it was the first prize in such important event on the 100 years of the German Chess Federation. So let's go directly for the surprise. The right move is f3, brilliant move. It's hard to see what's going on over here. I will explain this in a bit. But first, let's see some possibilities. One of the ones that we start calculating is to give this check, which should be checkmate, if not for the special en passant move. And after, for example, the rook takes the pawn back, we easily see that, okay, we can't progress anymore. How can we win the queen or something like that? The queen is now free to play. F2 pawn will fall, and and all of the sudden it's white that it's fighting for a draw, not for a win. So this one I took directly out of the way. The other one is to play f4. The idea is if the queen takes the pawn, then we give this discovered check, but to win the queen. But after the king moves away, then we take the queen, and suddenly we see that our king is blocking the defense of the pawn. The king is too close. Then it will be able to exchange less pawn, and there's no way to win if it exchange less pawn. So possible moves are something like this. We protect the pawn temporarily, but after black advances the pawn, so we are forced to take, and this is a draw because king and bishop can't mate. So after a while, we start to look into other possibilities. Like one big tip I want to give you. I don't know where I learned about this idea. About I don't know if it was. How to play brilliant moves. I don't know exactly the name of the book, or if it was from Jacob Agard, or if it was from Ramesh. I don't know, sorry. But the idea is to get into the position and, okay, if I could place one of these pieces in a different place, where it would be. Like, for example, I want to place my king here because if my king is here, I can deliver checkmate. So, if we start to think like that, maybe we can find some possibilities to keep improving our position in this situation to solve the study. And so, when we use that technique where I want to place my king, we see that this is one possibility. Okay, the other probably over here, because in any of this we are threatening to checkmate in the next moves. But of course, going over there is too far away, and then I can't go through here because the queen is controlling that square. So one idea that comes to mind was to play king e4, which is a mistake, but it's not a big mistake. Of course, it's a mistake, but not exactly making it easier for black. So I also suggest you, from the black perspective, to find here the only move for black. So time for the brilliance for black, because let's see, for example, one of the first possibilities. Like let's see, like black plays this move, allowing me to go with the king to e4 to f5. Sorry. Oh, now, if you see, there's no defense for black anymore because let's see, for example, if it plays something like this, then we simply check and checkmate. So no can do. And if it moves the queen, like for example for c7, the idea is to attack my bishop. So when the rook get out of the way, it will be possible to take the piece that is delivering the discovered check. But and this is not just a small but, we can check. So if the queen is forced to take the bishop, like in this situation, otherwise it's mate, we still are going to win. So this is not possibility for black. So black can't allow king f5. Like for example, other possibilities, it's this one, because this is a small trick from black, because if I play this, then I get this checkmate. So also not a possible move. But I have this simple maneuver of taking the pawn. Of taking the pawn with the rook check. The king moves. I give another check, so the king is forced to come back, and now I have exactly the same position, but without any more losses of time. So not being possible to move the pawn, let's look what happens with the queen. Let's start, for example, to see what happens if I go to c7. Well, I lose the queen immediately because this move discovered check and then I take the queen. So that is not a possibility. Other possibility is to go to g1, and if it goes to g1, I'm going to use the same principle of g4 check. So g4 check, either it takes with the pawn or the queen. Let's see, for example, if it takes with the king, I take directly, and now here I am controlling all the game, so it will not be possible. Like for example, this way, I'm already controlling the promotion of one pawn. The king can't approach this pawn because it's controlled by the pawn and the bishop, and my king will take the pawn very fast, and after it will come back to support my f pawn, and it will be a win. And if it takes with the pawn, well, that's not a big deal. We are going to check, and next move we are going to take the queen. So it's an easy win. Besides seeing what happens with the queen moving to h1, of course, let's just see that this one is also not possible, because it also allows me to approach the king. So the brilliant and almost only move possible, it is the only move possible, it's to discover this brilliant move. For a starter, it's spinning that pawn, and also it's opening the queen to play along the first rank, which will not allow the king to go to the ideal place. Let's see if it, for example, now I give a check. Again, we attack from the diagonal, so the king also doesn't reach the g7 square, and after a while we may conclude that this is a draw. So, unfortunately, because there is this brilliant answer to the king e4 approach, we need to find another way to improve our position. That's where things come tricky. And the brilliant move, we already know what it is, f3. And what we see immediately is that black has not many moves. Because let's start by some potential moves, like for example, going over here. Then we simply check, the king moves, and then we win the queen. So not possible. Let's see what happens if the queen now moves. Let's see, for example, the same h1 move that worked when we play the king e4. Now we simply play directly g4. It's checkmate, so it's forced to take. Again, check, discover check. The king is forced to stay on the h5, and then we are going to win the queen, of course. So this also is not possible here. Let's see other possibilities. Let's see what I have here to show you. Like, for example, going to c7, we see directly the discovered check again. Going with g1, the same idea, g4, if the queen takes, I can take directly. If the pawn takes, then I deliver the discover check, then take the queen. And so the options are not that much. We have also this one, but again, this time is a bit different from when I played on the first move f4, and then the queen take the f4, because I will get the same position but with an extra pawn. The king moves to g5, then I take the queen. When the king takes back, I have time to bring my bishop, and when the king takes here, I have a passive isolated pawn that will promote. So also not possible for black to move the queen anywhere, it always remains one simple move that it's basically the difference that makes it harder for white. That is to advance the pawn. So now it's white to play again. And again, another difficult move, maybe, because we already saw that the queen has the possibility, if I go to e4 with my king, to move away with the queen going through h1. So we need to find different approach, and not easy, not easy, but the best idea is to go to the other side. So the idea is to get away from the immediate checks, because now again, any move that black makes with the h pawn or the queen, it's a loss. You can try it with the same idea we saw before concluding that black was forced to play the d6. And again, you are going to see that black is forced to play again d5. There's just one extra move that we did hadn't before, that it's to play here, but again, discovered check and the queen drops in the next move. So again, not a good idea for black. So black is forced to move ahead. Here, again, white to move, and we don't we can't take the pawn. Let's see that first. If we take the pawn, then we allow black the possibility to play queen c7. The idea is there's no more useful if discovered check, because now I am threatening to take the bishop. So if I move the rook, like let's say for example this stupid move, the queen just takes the bishop, so there's not a possible move. And if I protect now, the queen simply can deliver in many checks, and it's impossible to force more the position. So after we see that if we take the d pawn, we are allowing black to a less resource with queen c7, well, maybe that's now more easy to understand that we need to keep the king controlling the access of the queen to the c7 square. So more or less, this is not as brilliant. It's just a good move. But now black to play again, and curiously enough, what we have is the same situation again. So again, black is forced to advance the d pawn. And now the king goes to e6. What is the idea? It's the same principle that I told you before. First, it has this approach, possible approach, but we don't want to allow queen c7, remember? Because here, if we play queen c7, well, now we have access to the g7 square. We are going to see this, so let's wait a bit. And so after we play this, the idea is to bring the king to g7, remember? To think where ideally I wish this piece would be to deliver mate. Well, I want my king on g7. So after black replied with the best move, we keep protecting our bishop for the threat of discover check. Of course, now black has a difficult choice. It's forced to keep checking. I go to g7. I deliver a check again, because if, for example, if I advance the pawn, then check, the king moves, checkmate. And if I ignore all this and advance the d pawn again, it's the same thing, check. The king moves and checkmate. Don't forget, check is a double check. Double check, so that's why the queen can't take any, at least can't take two pieces at one in one move. So it's forced to check again. When it checks again, the king moves behind. So to remove more checks, the only one is the queen b8. We can see that, the queen b8 possibility. But now we avoid all checks, and after a while pinning our rook, but now it's impossible to avoid checkmate very soon or to sacrifice. The best idea here is to give away the queen, but after a check we have time to come back. Be careful, be careful. Always count on the moves because we can't allow black to simply take all the remaining pawns. But this is not that hard because we have time to approach our king. As black, when it wants to remove our pawns, we simply can take, and then when it takes back, we are going to promote to a queen, and it's easier to play with a queen and a bishop than with just the bishop, of course. So this is not a possible move, and the best move here for black is to try something in these lines. Sacrificing the queen, this is more or less less resource from black. Of course, white takes, and then king takes, and now white needs to be a bit careful because we need to bring our bishop to the defense in a very profitable way. There are not that many moves. We need to control the advancing of the d pawn, so we need to be careful. And so, more or less, there are only two moves. Basically, this one or the king over there is the same thing because we need the bishop to come through here. And now, if it advances the pawn, of course, we have time to control it, okay? And we are going to end protecting our key pawn. Don't forget that when black tries to take the exchange, I need to have this pawn protected. And if the king comes here, then the pawn runs away in time, so I can protect them all. Uh, but basically, if we are paying attention, we are able to play the right defense. And now here we simply go with the bishop g6. The king threatens to take our g pawn, and that's why it's important to bring the bishop, both controlling the advancing of the d pawn and protecting our f pawn. The king takes the pawn, for example. That's one possibility. I simply discover check, and now it's gonna be impossible for black to have time to promote one pawn and or the other because white will be far faster, and then we will have our queen. And so if let's try from black is to take the pawn, it's more or less the same thing. We take this and take this, and we have time, of course, as you can see. If it goes here and something like that, we have time for everything. The pawn will not be lost, and I will promote. Okay, hope you have enjoyed this very hard study. Let me know in the comments if you want how hard it was for you. If you were able to solve this one alone, congratulations, you are heading far. And hope you have enjoyed. See you in future studies. Bye bye.